Hey everyone, welcome back again. I am so sorry about that interruption. My computer crashed and Bob's internet connection went offline. So it's a perfect storm of technical issues. Anyway, we were talking about Bob's choice into um, focusing on growing the company through a key personnel. So let's get back to the interview. Okay. Hey, Bob.
Bob, tell me a little bit more about the key personnel that you hired for that food safety position.
So, like I was saying, I was interviewing for a quality and food safety manager about a year and a half ago. And this young lady, Virginia, applied for the position. And as soon as I saw her resume, I noticed that she was highly qualified. She's a food scientist, has done a lot of research and development, as well as quality and food safety management positions. So I thought it might make sense to help this company grow and to develop us to the next level, to put her in a better position, a more important position than just a department head. So I met with her quite a few times. We actually had a Starbucks relationship for quite a while to try to meet with her and convince her that it might make sense because she came from the large industry. She came from some big business, and she never worked in a small business, small family owned business. So it was some discussions as to would she be comfortable here and would she be able to, work in an environment that was a lot less stringent than the big companies. We're making the policies rather than following the policies, and she'd be instrumental in that. I think it went well, the conversations, because after a while we finally got to a point where she agreed to come on board, and she came on board as the operational excellence manager. And one of the biggest goals was to, get us to the food safety level, to increase our food safety programs to get to the SQF level, as well as start a lean journey as far as in the manufacturing business, get us a little bit more lean. And so
Right.
that's when I came on board.
That's an awesome thing. So I just wanted to point out too that a lot of business owners don't take that risk on trying to conform to the talent that comes in, and you did just that. And I wanted to point out that that is unusual, and that is a risk. It is a risk trying to hire someone so qualified, and it could be intimidating to the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do in terms of team culture and company procedures to be able to accommodate what I call, A-star players,
Okay.
that's going to change a company?
So there was a transition period because, like I said, she was used to the big business, big industry, which is, in my opinion, a little colder, a little less friendly, a little less employee, a team member. We don't call them employees here. Actually, we call them team members. I think employees another cold word like co-packing. So we try to call each other. They're a member of the team, and they're part of us. So there was a transition involved in, getting everyone on board and getting used to each other. But I think it's worked very, very well. She implemented a lot of nice programs. She implemented a daily huddle, which gets everyone together at the beginning of the day to talk about things. We implemented a team member recognition program. We put a lot of programs in place to appreciate, recognize the team members. We do more involvement with the teams in general, and so it's worked very well.
That's really awesome. And I bet you she is really steering the food safety uh, point during these times. What have you, Boston Baking, done as a team to survive during, the COVID-19 crisis and what's going on the streets?
So you are correct, but she steers food safety all the time, not just only in this times, which is a good thing. So that's critical. So once again, like you said initially when we had the beginning of the conversation, we're in an industry where food safety is critical. So we have a lot of these programs already in place. So even before this happened, we were fortunate enough to have a lot of the sanitizing, the prerequisite programs, the GMPs in place, and everything in place, that it's a pretty clean environment to begin with. What we did do when this became an issue and a crisis is we stepped up how often we sanitize, much more frequently during the course of a day. Instead of, sanitizing, 2 or 3 times a shift, we sanitize every hour and a half to 2 hours.
Wow.
We separated people in break rooms. We reduced how many can go into the break room at the same time. We split shifts so people are more comfortable knowing that the shifts aren't going to be as large. When possible, we would try to do that social distancing. As you know, in the food industry, it's pretty difficult because you still need efficiencies, and you still need to make sure you can produce your product and get it out the door on time. So those are some of the key points that we did during this crisis. We spent quite a bit of time at the beginning because all the team members were nervous. They were afraid. They didn't know what to expect. So we listened to them. We spent an awful lot of time hearing their fears, hearing what they wanted to know. We spent an awful lot of time researching, what's the trend, what's going on, how can we keep them safe, how can we, make sure they're comfortable. We told every team member, anyone that's uncomfortable and does not want to come into work does not have to. If they feel that they'd be better suited staying at home for the while, there was no threat that they had to come to work. They were made comfortable to know if you feel more comfortable being at home for a little bit, you can do that. So those are some of the steps we took.
Absolutely. Those are definitely what's needed to prevent the kind of outbreaks we are seeing in the entire food industry. Just the other day, we had an outbreak at a fresh fruit producer, and just the other day too, another outbreak at a snack food producer. So if anything, I hope this interview with you will help other bakers understand that those are the necessary steps to take to keep your employees safe. So that's a number one priority I feel like I want to share with a lot of people out there is it's important to keep the food supply, safe, but it's as important, even more important to keep the employees safe and have them feel like their lives are not, threatened when they come to work. I think that's priority. I think a lot of my friends in the baking industry feel that the baking industry is actually doing very well in putting all these procedures in place so that they can return to work. Everyone's just like you, just trying to figure out the point between efficiencies and food safety and employee safety. So thank you for sharing that with our audience. Before we go, I would like to ask you, as a leader of your company, what kind of leadership advice would you give our listeners today before you leave?
Okay, so I think the most important thing if you want to be a leader is you need to be humble. I think it's critical that you understand that you're part of a team as a leader, and I think that's critical that you lead by example. I think it's important that people see the leader is willing to step right in, to be there with them, to listen to them. I think you try to build a team as a leader that becomes friends and you like each other and you respect each other, and you don't build a team that's going to be confrontational. I think we try to build here a team of inclusion. We all care for each other and we all accept each other. Here at Boston Baking, one of the leadership techniques we do is we start every day with a motivational, inspirational quote that I send to the whole team. It's sent to them for a little minute of reflection on the day before they start their job and their work. It's posted throughout the facility so everyone can see the motivational quote and reflect on it during the course of the day. And as a background, we try to use team member photos. So Elizabeth's very good at taking pictures of everyone around the facility. So we'll put a photo of one of our team members behind an inspirational quote for that particular day.
I'm not even part of your team and I feel loved already.
I think it's important that we have to be at peace with each other as leaders. We need to understand that things aren't always going to go well. And rather than get angry or frustrated, you just be at peace with what happened. And then you try to figure out the best course of action to get to the next stage, which I think is important. I think we need to be grateful in life. I think we need to be grateful for things that are given to us. And instead of looking at the negatives, we look at the positives and how do we make something positive even when something's not the best it can be.
Absolutely.
I think, I mean, I could go on and on. I don't know how long you want me to go, but you know, even
Anything that can help me run my business. How about that?
So I think it's important that you give credit and positive feedback when it's necessary. I don't think a leader should take credit or all the credit. I think they should make sure that whoever's responsible gets the credit they're due, and make sure it's loud enough so they understand and appreciate that they're appreciated.
Yeah,
I think that's important. I think it's important that you're accessible to your team. We have an open door policy here. My door is never closed. So no matter what I'm doing, if a team member wants to come in and have a conversation or sit and tell me how they're doing, if it's personal, if it's business, if it's anything in general, that's important to us. We have an open door
John
policy.
telling you that I want to interview you.
Exactly. Exactly. So John's been with me for many, many years. He's a key critical person in this company. He's wonderful. I'm blessed to have him as well as so many others as well. And I think another thing about being a good leader is once you develop your team, you guide them, you train them, you mentor them, but you got to give them a little bit of leeway. And you got to, and when they make mistakes, like I said, you talk to them, you discuss with them. I think it's important for a leader not to want to be the smartest person in a room. I try to surround myself. I'm probably the dummy in the room when we all get together. They're all much more qualified than I am in their particular areas of expertise. I think you need to listen to them. And then at some point in time, I do think a leader has to be strong enough to make the final decision, though. So I think that's critical, that although you build that good team together, someone has to make a decision. It has to be rowing that boat in one direction. Otherwise, it goes around in circles and you end up nowhere.
Right.
That's
key. Yeah, finding the right people to take charge of the key points in your organization, so that decisions are made properly without coming back to you all the time. Right.
And then a couple of more key points I think you have to be real. You can't be artificial. You need to really care about your people. I think you really need to listen to them and talk to them. It has to be genuine, and I think that's key in a leader. As a leader needs to want to lead because that's what they like to do. They like to see people grow. They like to see people do better in life. Like I said, our mission here is to make everyday life more pleasurable. It's driven more than just how much money we make. We don't have a balance sheet that we need to get more money out of. That'll come if you take good care of your people, you take good care of your partners, and you take good care of your customers.
That is true.
I think one final thing is, I think when you build a company, you want to build it with opportunities for your people to grow, and they feel that there's a home for them here and there's a future there for them, and they're appreciated.
That is so true. Thank you so much for sharing those leadership skills. And I look forward to your company growing successfully, especially through these times.
Thank you,
Thanks so much, Bob. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Lynn.
Bye.
Bye-bye.